Hello, everyone. My name is Sanaia Meneses, and this is my John Lewis Young Leaders Capstone presentation. My capstone was entitled, Do You Know the Power of Your Dollar Through a Political Lens? So in summary, my project looked at how a single dollar bill travels through our political systems, how it can either support justice or contribute to harm. And through workshops, at-home activities, and information sessions that I hosted on my Hampton University campus, I worked with other students to explore how our money connects to politics, even when we don't realize it, and how, if used intentionally and collectively, money can be a very powerful tool for activism, or if ignored, a weapon against our best interests. So for a statement of need, I felt for the past few years as humanitarian crises were on the rise, and conversations of boycotting were also on the rise. I was hearing things like, why should I care? And boycotting doesn't work. So this project was my response to that apathy that I was constantly hearing, in an effort to remind my peers that we are so far from powerless. We are consumers, taxpayers, voters. We are money movers in this country, and our money funds political outcomes every single day. So for
Powerful.
objectives, overall, my most overall, I wanted to empower students to make conscious financial choices that align with their values. But along with that, I wanted to raise awareness about how our money is used by our government, the deep history of boycotting, where it's succeeded, where it's been less successful, and how powerful of a tool it can be, how to use it, to educate students on current ongoing humanitarian crises and how their financial decisions connect to them, whether helping or hurting, and then to offer different resources and strategies to participate in economic resistance. So for key activities, I did a boycotting one-on 101 that looked into the history of boycotting, as I said, where it's been successful, where it has been a little less successful, and how we can use it to shape different political outcomes domestically and internationally. I also hosted What's Going On sessions where students could come and say, hey, there's this thing that's being talked about in the news every day, this thing that people are having conversations about that I just don't understand. What's going on? I have questions. I want to understand better. And participants and myself were able to just have really open conversations, answer each other's questions, and just get a better understanding and become more well versed politically. I also did routine mapping workshops where I asked students to write down their day-to-day routine from beginning to end, where they're spending their money, at what companies. And I challenged them to remove at least one item or company from their routine that's tied to injustice. Other activities that I had were the life cycle of our tax dollar, which broke down how our money, our taxes specifically, are being used by our government, where specifically things are going, where they're not going, where we wish they were going, and just the reality of our money that is being used, how to spot propaganda sessions, and how media has been used to manipulate or shape opinions, and humanitarian crises overviews, where students were able to just get a better understanding of certain crises that are going on around the world, like the genocide on Palestine, like humanitarian crises in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sudan. So for outcomes, students that participated in the routine mapping workshops genuinely took it seriously. And on average, based on my post-evaluation surveys, participants cut 2 to 3 boycotted items from their daily routines, which was really exciting. Our on-campus Starbucks saw a 5 to 7% drop in sales in 2024, and I wouldn't attribute that entirely to my capstone and its sessions, but I do hope that it was helpful in that. Um, The Pirate Pantry, which has been a resource on Hampton University's campus where students could just grab items for free, has committed to slowly removing all their McDonald's and Starbucks products from their inventory. And we successfully pushed to rewrite a clause in the SGA Constitution where the student representative to the Board of Trustees now has a voting power. While it's a singular voting power, it's still a voting power to deny funding if they believe it goes against the values of the student body. So in evaluations and data, I sent out a pre-evaluation survey to all my original participants, just trying to get a grasp on how aware they are of current humanitarian crises, if they believe in the power of boycotting, if they are participating in any boycotts actively, and why. And I saw that, you know, students were slightly aware of things more than not. They were not at all aware or could speak about certain humanitarian crises. They weren't fully confident in the power that their spending habits had in global politics. They weren't participating in boycotts, or they weren't intentionally avoiding any brands. And then comparing that to post evaluation, and there were much more questions than these, but these were the most notable responses. I was seeing that 100% of students or our participants were now intentionally avoiding a brand or a company for political or ethical reasons. So they're participating in a boycott now, and they would attribute that to the capstone sessions and to the information that they learned in them, that they're much more knowledgeable on the concept of political boycotting, and that they're feeling much more empowered to act financially in alignment with their values. For wins and losses, for wins, I definitely feel that those conversations of apathy that I was so scared of and that I was so consistently hearing were now transforming much more into conversations about what students could do individually, that they are harnessing their power financially. I saw much less students visiting the on-campus Pizza Hut and Starbucks based on discussions of companies and brands that are actively being boycotted. And based on post-evaluation surveys, students were seeming much more knowledgeable and passionate about the concept of boycotting and on current humanitarian crises. For losses, I would definitely say that turnout could be a little inconsistent at times. This year was very busy for everyone, but it was a little hard because certain activities that I was most excited about had just a little less turnout. People couldn't make it. And also weather, I don't know if I can consider that a loss, but it was a little bit of a deterrent this year. So for what's next, this is not the end. Hopefully this is just the beginning in a history of conversations of boycotting at Hampton. This June, I'm going to be releasing a summer boycotting guide in collaboration with participants from the program, several underclassmen that were very excited and wanted to keep the momentum going in the summer months. And we're also discussing how they could continue this on their own now that I've graduated into this next year and getting other people to continue these sessions in some way or manner. It's been really meaningful that underclassmen have been so in tune and have been so excited about continuing these conversations. And this capstone really showed me that people do care. They care deeply. They just need the knowledge and the tools. And I really want to keep building and sharing both. So thank you so much.